It's official, guys. Superman has officially joined the dark side, and I am here for all the mayhem and the chaos. Welcome back to Keepin' It Comic, and today we are diving into DC KO with issue number 2. Now, this all starts off with that game night from issue number 1, and I'm just gonna sum this up a little bit, but they're playing a little game where they have to guess, or at least state what they think the other hero would be if they weren't a hero or did not have the profession they have now. So Clark says he can see Diana as a tour guide. And Diana's like, well, Bruce, I can see you as a doctor. And he even makes a joke. He's like, a bat doctor? But then he's like, well, Clark, you'd be a president. And Clark's like, come on, you can't be serious. And Bruce is like, oh, I'm serious. But then we skip to the present time. And all the winners from the first round are now teleported to a different realm. And the Heart of Apocalypse says, and so begins the next round. This realm before us took 11 billion years to construct, but was carved inside a microscopic white hole, where time moves like light. A blank, and it exists, history and all. For the champions themselves, though almost no time has passed between rounds, 32 of them made it through the first gauntlet. They have had no rest, no pause for contemplation. For them, there will only be the battle, as it should be. I speak as the Heart of Apocalypse, your game master. To become the King Omega in this new universe Darkseid had to take to collect power from his kind. Primordial beings, gods. Here, each of you must do the same, but from your own kind, your fellow champions. Hidden throughout this realm are some of the most powerful items in your universe. And I gotta say, some of these items are overpowered. I mean, the Woolagog and the Genie Pin can literally rewrite history and time. And for some reason, Bane's Venom reminds me of the Omnitrix. But anyway, the narration continues. This arena is a graveyard of elder gods slain by Darkseid. The items lie in their ruins. When all the items are found, the challenge is over. Whoever is holding an item at that time moves on. Whoever is not, dies. There are only 16 items hidden here, and 32 of you. By the end of this challenge, half of you will be no more. There are no rules of conduct. Nothing matters but winning. And remember this rule above all. Here, in this arena, if you follow the example of Darkseid, you shall be rewarded. Now, let the challenge begin. And I just want to point out, of all the people on here, Superman has the meanest damn look on his face because of round 1. You already know he's after Lex, and they scatter. Some can sense which items are where. Hawkman senses the Claw of Horus, Cyborg the Mother Box. Others like Lex have come prepared. His suit contains more scanners than the top 10 most powerful military satellites combined. Infrared, heat, synthetic aperture radar. Within a single second, he maps the landscape, sees where every item is, and blasts off towards the power rings. But Clark is watching, and if there's one thing Clark is determined to do, it's to make sure Lex Luthor does not win. As he races after Lex, he takes a moment to slow the other villains too. This is why he's here. He tells himself, this is his part, to make sure the villains fail. All of them, but especially Lex Luthor. And he grabs this man and throws Lex right into a damn skull. But these two are not the only two going at it, because right now, Diana and Etrigan are going at it over Adam's belt. And he's like, to you, that belt should not pass. This demon spawn will kick your ass. I admit, princess, you fight well, but you are no match for. And she kicks him in his chest and says, go to hell. Now, I mean, this kick knocked him clean out. And while Diana's looking for this belt, Giganta's like, there's only room for one big girl in this challenge. And all of a sudden, a shadow even bigger than her says, you call that big? And it's the friggin' Joker rocking the belt. And he says, ta-da! Any last words? And she's like, Joker, what are you doing? We're on the same side. And the Joker gives this little look and says, oh, right, I forgot. And he steps on her. Then 2 other people are running. Joker legit grabs them and eats them alive. But over at the God Killer site, Plastic Man and Metamorpho are going at it. And Metamorpho actually turns to an acid and melts Plastic Man. But here comes Starro and he's like, now that God Killer sword is mine, you loser. Too slow. And Guy Garrett comes out of nowhere and takes the sword and is like, you were saying? But close by, Guy Gardner finds the flash ring. And he says, I mean, a man can never have too many rings, right? And bam, he's knocked out by Harley Quinn, who says, Ivy'll love this. Now, what the heck do you... And I'm not even gonna say what she looks like, but I'm sure you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking, and someone has some explaining to do. But look, back to this Superman fight, because he uppercuts Lex, and it is vicious. He hit him so hard, Lex started to have a dialogue. He's like, I'm glad we have this moment, Superman, because I wanted to thank you. See, when you put us all in the Phantom Zone, I expected it to be just a cage. But what you've made it? Therapeutic. A big old cosmic couch. Beautiful, actually. And as I was floating there, I had an epiphany. And Superman's like, I'm not interested. Lex says, I figured. And he opens his chest piece and he goes, you know, it's a good moment to be a kryptonite enthusiast. What with it so much more common these days. And you can see this man has all types of kryptonite in there. And he says, I've expanded my collection plenty to choose from. Purple to drain your life force, black to steal your powers, red, pink, so many uses. But what I'm really going to use them for is to get you to effing listen for once. And he sends Superman flying. And he continues, so here's my epiphany, Superman. I always thought I hated you because you did too much. You stop humanity from realizing our potential by saving us from failure. But I was wrong. I get that now. Because what I really hate you for, if I'm being truly honest with myself, is doing too little. And he stomps on him. He pulls out this blade and says, so thank you for bringing me to the Phantom Zone. It was revelatory. I wanted you to feel what I felt, so I brought it to you. And he slices off Superman's right hand, which is even more crazy because I don't think it actually sliced it. I think he sent a piece of his hand to the Phantom Zone, which separated the 2 pieces, which is even more diabolical. But he continues, in the form of a blade. When I arrived here in the heart of Apocalypse, it gave me a vision of what the universe could be like if I won. Of everything remade in my image. I assume it did that for everyone. So what was yours, Superman? A better reality? Far better? Diseases cured? Corrupt governments eradicated? A cultural and technological paradise? Am I right? But let me guess. Your response to that vision was to reject it. Your goal, even now, is to just put everything back the way it was at the end of this. And in disgust, Lex fires shards of green kryptonite into Clark's body. And he continues, I know how much you like to listen to heartbeats. So listen now. Do you hear them all up there? Full of longing and fear? They want your vision. Maybe they didn't in another time, but they do in this one. Because things have changed. The center has fallen apart. Everyone feels it. In this era, people are begging for a hero who will fix the problems, the wars, the death, the misery, the terror of it all. They want you to save them. What the Phantom Zone taught me is that I do too. Because deep down, you're a coward, Superman. That was my epiphany. Now excuse me while I do what you won't and save the damn world. Feel free to sit back and watch. And yo, to a certain degree, I gotta say, our boy Lex is spitting right now. But look, Guy Gardner is flying by and he's like, Gardner for the win. And Hawkman comes out of nowhere and he's like, actually, I believe this belongs to me. Like, this man got robbed twice. But meanwhile, Cyborg gets the mother box. And over at the Soul Taker Sword, you have Swamp Thing versus Big Barda versus Etrigan. And this is going wild. And who do you see in the background running like crazy? None other than Lobo. And he's like, look at this. I just found my own golden ticket. Venom. And Starro tries to jump her from behind. But Lobo on Venom? That's a crazy combination. He just rips Starro in half and tosses him. He's like, sorry, brother. Some get to win. Some gotta be you. And Starro says, another fact about starfish. We regenerate. And when we start seeing this many Starros, we already know what's going on. Because he attaches himself to heroes' faces and he sends them to start getting as many artifacts as he can. And then he sends these heroes to stop the other heroes. He even sends Wonder Woman to take down Zatanna before she can find Thor's hammer. She goes to use her magic, and Starro's like, cosmic starfish are immune to magic, abracadumbass. I'm using that one in real life. But he's like, your parlor tricks don't work on me. And she responds, right by your side, Diana. Listen to my voice. He says, it doesn't matter where you are. She's mine. And she says, I'm not talking about myself, you ass. Diana, by your side. Reach down now. And Diana reaches down and grabs Thor's hammer. And just like that, Starro's out of this competition. But just then, Guy Gardner's running for Blue Beetle's scarab. He says, okay, third time's a charm. And out of nowhere, here comes Red Hood. He's like, not so fast, Ginger. Creating Red Beetle armory. Hey, Joker, how's this for a punchline? Harley Quinn's like, no way. I call dibs. And Joker smiles and says, man, I love when they fight over me. And I swear that picture gives me Jack Nicholson Joker vibes. But they're like, damn it, where the hell did he go? Just then, Big Barter starts screaming in agony. She says, I haven't felt pain like this since I was in the fire pits. Something hurts. And you can see Joker. He's shrunk and says, it's all in your head. And as Vixen is beating King Shark for the genie pin, Zatanna's like, we're close. Almost all the items have been found. We have to get the last few before the Legion of Doom does. And you can see Lex is on the move. Just then, someone yells, Luthor! That's payback for what you did to Superman. And Star Sapphire hits him with a construct of an entire fortress of solitude and goes to collect her prize. She says, and score one for love. She pulls her hand away from the hydraulic claw cable just in time. She says, nice try, Luthor, but I still have all the power rings. And Lex says, I did manage to snatch the only one I was truly after. She says, keep it. What good is a black power ring when there are no dead to control? And Lex gives the evilest smile ever and says, you sure about that? Now Superman, he's still feeling the effects of the kryptonite he can't get up. So Supergirl's like, Cal, here, take the mask. I'll get something. And out of nowhere, Captain Atom's like, sit your ass down. I'll be taking that, thanks. But before Superman can even call Captain Atom's name, he feels it, a rumbling. And he just knows Lex has won. One by one, Lex uses the Elder Gods to take them out. The heroes, Clark's friends. And all the while, Lex never takes his eyes off of him. And an enraged Superman thinks back to that game night where he said, I would never be a politician, Bruce. It's never even crossed my mind. And Bruce had to tell him, because you have him, Superman. And he says, what's your point, Bruce? And he says, my point is you always look to do the most good possible. That's who you are. You're a strategist, same as me and Diana, but in your own way. And you're right, your math works. But things change, Clark. That's what games like this are all about. Figuring out a new math if one is needed. And Lex is like, it's over, Superman. And the Heart of Apocalypse says, his hand throbs. His body is one long scream. He tries, though he tries to figure out some new math, some way. And then suddenly, the rules come back to him. Follow the example of Darkseid, and you shall be rewarded. The example of Darkseid, who sacrificed not just his hand, but his life to become something more. Clark thinks of the mystery item, one of the only things left unclaimed, and he grabs the kryptonite shard in his shoulder. And just before Lex brings the Elder God's foot down on his body, crushing it, Clark ends Superman. And Lex says, who's the real Superman now, old friend? And just then, the dead Superman is revived, and he says, "I am Luthor, I'm Superman, and Superman is." See, the item Superman won, that mystery item, was the Omega Sanction, the power of Darkseid himself. And boy, our man Superman is out here shooting Omega beams like never before. Yo, he is looking badass. He decimates the Elder Gods, just as Darkseid did eons ago. And it feels good. He will stop them all. Luthor, Joker. Lex is like, "No, I had you beat." Superman says, "You lose, Luth." But before Clark can fire his Omega beam, Guy Gardner gets the last item. And they all hear, "Champions, all items have been claimed. The challenge is now over. Those without items are eliminated. Those of you with items in your possession, congratulations. You move on." And Lex says, "Saved by the bell. See you next round." And there you have it, the surviving 16 champions moving to the next level. They can all feel their closeness to victory. They have the taste for it now. For the fight, the competition. But the game isn't only being played here. It's being played outside the tournament as well. And in the watchtower where Time Trapper and his crew still are, he says, "The fire pits burn bright with Omega energy as our champions get closer to the center. Soon, we may have the new King Omega. There's hope. We just have to continue to hold the time barrier against Darkseid." And Booster Gold says, "Yes, unless we don't." Trapper says, "What do you mean, Booster?" And he explains, "Oh, Time Trapper, you've spent too much time with the Kryptonian. You've become soft in your old age. There's no need for a new King Omega. We already have ours. Me, Darkseid. And it's time for me to enter the arena." And man, this was crazy. I'm loving this darker side to Superman we're getting out of this. And I didn't want Lex to turn fully bad, but I gotta admit, I'm loving what Lex is doing because he's actually spitting a lot of facts, and I could kind of understand where he's coming from. And people like Joker are having way too much fun right now. But hey, I know you guys are probably wondering, how did Lex and the rest of the bad guys get out of the Phantom Zone? And guess what? We're gonna drop a video tomorrow to give you guys all that information. So make sure you guys are tuned in, and it will also be a part of the playlist that's above for DCKO and all its tie-ins. Thanks for kicking it with Keeping It Comic, and as always, happy holidays, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.